Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Ms. Menzies, do you have anyone for open forum? No, sir. No, then forum. Okay, then I'd like to call upon the town clerk, Ms. Joan Chabot, to administer the oath of office for our new and returning members. Ms. Chabot?
If we could have Kimberly, Diane, and Jocelyn stand. If you would repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and obey the laws of the United States of America and of the state of Rhode Island. That I will, in all respects, observe the provisions of the Charter and ordinances of the town of Tiverton, and will faithfully discharge the duties as a member of the school committee for the town of Tiverton. So help me God. Congratulations. Nominations are now in order for chairperson of the school committee.
I would like to nominate Diane Farnworth.
Are there any further nominations? Ms. Farnworth has been nominated for chairperson. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Congratulations.
First of all, thank you all very much for your support. I will do my best to keep things running smoothly, in order, and in fairness to all. I will now move to accept nominations for vice chairperson of the committee. Do we have any nominations? I would like to nominate Deb Polish for vice chair. Do we have any other nominations? Okay, Deb has been nominated for vice chair. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Congratulations. Okay, next we will appoint our school committee clerk. I would like to make a motion to appoint Mrs. Carolyn Mendez as our school committee clerk. Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any other nominations for school committee clerk? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Congratulations, Mrs. Mendez, and thank you. Okay, next we have a status change for the safety subcommittee, and I asked that this be put on the agenda before we took any motions to appoint to any of our subcommittees. We put the safety subcommittee into place probably 2 years ago now. And I have always felt, really from its inception, that it was better suited as an administrative committee as opposed to a school committee subcommittee. So I would like, if I could, entertain a motion to change the status of the safety subcommittee from subcommittee to administrative committee. Do I have that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We'll now move into our election of school committee subcommittees. Because we have two new members with us this evening, I will do a brief description of each of the subcommittees before we entertain any motions or look for volunteers. That's always been our practice. The first one is the Finance Subcommittee. The Finance Subcommittee is a group, and for each of these subcommittees, we can have two members. So the Finance Subcommittee is a subcommittee that was established a few years back to allow members who have the aptitude and interest to look at the district's finances in a little bit more depth than we could possibly do at the full committee level. There are no votes taken in the Finance Subcommittee. It is really just more of a question and answer and dig deep into the numbers kind of exercise. Do I have any volunteers for the Finance Subcommittee?
I will volunteer, but I certainly wanted to give our new people a chance to sit on some of these subcommittees first.
Okay.
So I'm
Kim, do
happy.
you have any interest in finance?
Sure.
Okay. That would,
Yes,
great.
we'll do that.
All right, and Deb? Are there any objections? Okay, so I will, we will go ahead and take one vote at the end, if that's okay with everyone. So Health and Wellness is a state mandated subcommittee of the school committee. It is led by the administration, but there would be up to two members of the school committee allowed to participate and be members of the Health and Wellness Subcommittee. Do I have any volunteers?
I'd like to do it.
Okay, Jocelyn, anyone else? Okay, I will throw my name in there as a volunteer for the Health and Wellness Subcommittee as well. Policy Subcommittee. Policy Subcommittee is a very important subcommittee as well. It is something one of the most important duties of a school committee is to shape and form policy. I would be looking for two volunteers to serve on the Policy Subcommittee. And I will say it right now, I have been a member of the Policy Subcommittee in my entire years of service here, and I would like to continue. Is there anyone that would like to join me?
I will.
Okay, Kim? Thank you very much. All right, we're going to skip over the Safety Committee because we'll take care of that in the liaison section of our agenda. Now we have Sick Bank. Sick Bank is a committee that is in place by union contract. We have two members who traditionally would sit on the Sick Bank Committee. Do I have volunteers?
I'd like to stay on that committee.
Okay, Mrs. Pavo? Anyone else?
I'll stay on it with Elaine unless, Jocelyn, you'd like to jump in there.
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, you're good.
Okay.
We got you or Deb? Is she? Okay.
Okay, so for Finance Subcommittee, we have Mrs. Polish, Ms. Paquette. For Health and Wellness, we have Mrs. Sherman and myself. For Policy, we have Mrs. Polish, myself and Ms. Paquette. For Safety, no, we don't have Safety. For Sick Bank, we have Mrs. Pavo and Mrs. Polish. Do I have a motion to accept those nominations?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, we have our subcommittees. Thank you all. Okay, finally, on the special business, we have elect school committee liaisons, up to 2 each. So in this case, we can have 2, we don't have to have 2. We have some that we're familiar with as a school committee, for those of us who have been here for some time. I've also added a couple of new ones to the agenda. The first being the Charter Commission, because the town has elected a Charter Commission to take place over the next 12 months, or whatever the time period is. I would like us to have a liaison to the Charter Commission. This person would be expected to attend some of the meetings and at least stay in touch with what the Charter Commission is doing as they prepare to make their presentations. Do I have any volunteers? Okay, I will volunteer for the Charter Commission. Legislative liaison. This person is someone that would be on point to keep an eye on state legislature activities, which in the spring they will become numerous. And they also traditionally have been the person who would be in touch with our elected representatives on a regular basis. Do I have any volunteers? I can't take them all, guys.
D, A, B, C, D.
You'll do that one? Thank you.
Who said that, Deb? Or-
Deb. Okay, and now for the Safety Committee. Now that it is an administrative committee, we would still like to have up to 2 liaisons from the school committee attend those meetings. Do I have any volunteers?
I'll volunteer.
Jocelyn, anyone else? Kim? Okay, great.
Kim.
Jocelyn, Kim.
Okay.
Perfect.
Kim and Jocelyn.
All right, next we have the Special Education Local Authority Committee, SELAC. I thought it was advisory. I must have missed that in the agenda. Apologies. The SELAC committee was formed about a year ago when we went out on our own in special ed. I know that I would like to see if there are any volunteers to serve on that committee as a liaison.
I'm already attending those meetings, so I could do that.
You're a member of that committee as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, just to be certain. I have also attended those meetings since its inception, so what I'd like it to be, Kim, if it's okay, you'll be the primary
Okay,
liaison. And
Sure.
as I can attend and as I can make the meetings and be of service, I will.
okay.
Okay. And then finally, Town Council. We have traditionally picked a liaison to the Town Council. My feeling on this is that it probably is best suited as a job for the chair, unless someone else wants it. So I will offer to be the liaison to the Town Council. So we have 4 our liaisons. If I could have a motion for Charter Commission, Diane Farnworth; Legislative, Deb Polish; Safety Committee, Jocelyn Sherman and Kim Paquette; SELAC, Kim Paquette, Diane Farnworth; and Town Council, Diane Farnworth. Do I have that motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your patience with us this evening as we get through some of this important business as we kick off our next session. I am going to now call upon Mrs. Craven to join us and give some very well-deserved recognition for some students of our Tiverton schools who have done some very remarkable things.
Absolutely. Thank you and congratulations. So it is an honor this evening to recognize 2 of our girls' varsity teams for the state championship title. They worked hard all season, and I was honored to be there when both of them won. We laughed, we cried, we cheered, but it truly was a meaningful experience for For soccer, I'd like to call up the head coach, Jim Gouch, and he's going to say a few words about the season.
All right, I want to first by starting out, thanks to the school committee, to Mr. Sanchioni, Ms. Kraeger, our admin, Ms. Craven, Mr. Swenson, for allowing us to be recognized here. As Ms. Craven said, they put a lot of hard work into it. It's a great accomplishment. Not a lot of people get to actually go through this, so it's great that we can recognize them for what they've done. That on top of that, I also want to thank the parents, because without the parents, we have no team at all. Bringing them back and forth to practice, games, supporting them, buying cleats, buying all their equipment. Like, without the parents, there's no team. And this is all not just for this year, it's from their whole life, right? It comes, the parents are key. So thank you to the parents too. I just want to do a real brief recap of the season. We started out kind of slow. We lost 3 out of the first 4. We didn't know how the season was going to go. We were able to hire an assistant, Tommy Murray. It was a great addition to our staff after Mr. Andrade could not do it anymore. So Tommy came on, we made some adjustments, and then we won the next 15 games, didn't lose, outscoring our opponents. Total goal scores was 121. The team consists of, I got a lot here. We ended the season 16-3, but it consists of 4 all-tournament players, the tournament MVP, 4 all-division players, an all-academic player, an all-academic team players, and then 1 all-state and 3 all-stars. So we have a lot of awards that these girls got, and none of these awards are actually those participation awards that we get when they're down in the rec programs and the little kids to keep them going. These are all earned. They're all voted on by other coaches. So it's a great accomplishment. So just want to say thank you again for recognizing them. And then we're going to call them up. Yeah.
So we have certificates for you ladies. Mr. Gouch is going to call you up. I'll present. But after you receive your certificate, if you could just go right around and shake everyone's hand and then return to your seat, that would be great.
So Tommy, you want to actually call? I'm going to have Tommy call him, and then that way we can.
Hi. Good to see you.
All right, one at a time, and then you can just hand it to me after you call me.
Okay, perfect. All right, Samantha Borden. Good job, Sam. Sophia Borges. Good job, Sophia. Nev Carmichael. Olivia Costa. Jenna Del Deo. Taylor Faria. Good job, Taylor.
This was after the season.
Congratulations.
Adeline Messenger. Good job, Addie. Just keep calling through.
Right around.
Tori Murray. Elise Myers. Good job, Elise. Oh, we can't skip me. Adelaide Pimentel. Sarah Poland. Giuliani Soto. You want me to announce it? Jim Gouch. Yeah, I think this is me.
And Tom Murray Jr. Sure, we have a couple of names of students who aren't present this evening. Leah Comito. Emma Comito. And Kennedy Herford. So congratulations, girls. Okay, now I'd like to call up Mr. Gouveia, who's representing Jess Caswell, who couldn't be here tonight for the presentation of the certificates for the girls' varsity tennis team. Mr. Gouveia?
Thank you. I get to fill in for Coach Jess. I don't have all the numbers on the stats, but I can tell you that this was one of our most outstanding teams academically, as well as athletically. But I just want to make a couple of comments about both teams. First of all, they were both outstanding in the classroom. Number two, outstanding sportsmanship displayed by both teams, which is, again, very important to us, academics, the sportsmanship. And then lastly, both teams showed tremendous improvement over the course of the season. They were both very well-coached teams, and this is why we're here tonight. Okay, I'm going to call them up. Kelly Alvarez. Haley Ashenbalt. Alexis Boisino. Don't forget me. Angelina Cadero. Leah Dosta. Caroline Durost. Autumn Gerlach. Sophia Hahn. Julia Keating. Sylvia Kirchner. No. Sadie Brown. Nope. Juniper Merkel. Faith Parada. Carly Sana. Courtney Smith. Brooke Soa. Stella Valentino. Come on, Stella. And our coaches who couldn't be here tonight, Jessica Cullinan, Samantha Rawlings, and Natasha Tavaz. Once again, congrats to both teams. Great job.
And I'll pass these around for you so you can look at the Interscholastic League Championship plaques.
Mrs. Farnworth?
Yes, Mrs. Polish.
Just quickly, from the all-female school committee, wonderful, wonderful job, ladies. Very proud of you.
Before we move into the next part of our agenda, I neglected, very nice, to recognize our school student representative who's with us for the first time this year. And Artemis has been with us last year and is joining us, I assume, by popular vote of the student body of Tiverton High School. Congratulations and thanks for coming. Look forward to your interacting with us as we go through the rest of the school year. You're a senior now, right? Yep. All right. Excellent, excellent. We're going to, actually, that's a good idea. Why don't we take a break for about 2 minutes to allow everyone to celebrate, and we'll get back down to business in about 2 minutes. Thank you.
So we're letting you go.
Yes.
Oh, I was like, wait a minute.
Yes.
I see a familiar face.
I think he came to heckle me. No.
Did he?
It's going to be a groupie now.
Is he going to stay? He's going to give us a hard
I don't
time
know.
with the budget.
Now, this is a normal school board
Yeah.
attendance. This is what, we're lucky if we have this.
This seems robust.
I can remember when we had full, everything was full.
Regularly?
Oh, regularly.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, this room was full.
Really?
There was people standing in the back, because it was different, the tables were there, but.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
the different
people were
setup.
standing up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready to continue?
Yes.
All right, thank you, everyone. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda. We have school committee meeting minutes from October 23rd. We have executive session meeting minutes from October 23rd as well. And we have our monthly enrollment report. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Motion to accept the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous, thank you. Under old business, we have homeschool requests for the 2024-2025 school year. Mrs. Kraeger?
We recently had a family move into Tiverton who had been homeschooling their children prior to moving to Tiverton and want to continue to do so. So those are the 3 students I have listed there today. The parents or family did provide us with the required paperwork, so I'd ask for your approval for the 3 students for homeschooling.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the homeschool requests as presented? Would anyone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And I'm going to do my best Michael Dakotas. And could I, how many are we up to?
84.
84, yes. There's a second page there that includes the total. Nope, that's okay.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay. We have next on the agenda, policy revisions, second read. For those of you who were not on the committee prior to this evening, I would ask that you abstain from this vote. We had gone through the first read of 3 of our fiscal-related policies in early October, and they are included in your package this evening. All 3 were either minor adjustments to the policy, or in the case of policy 332, we're deleting that policy because the language is included in a different policy. So do I have a motion to approve the policy revisions, second read for policies 310, 331, and 332?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, we have 3, and we have 2 abstentions. Okay, for new business, we have the 2024 RICAS results. Dr. Sanchioni.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Call your attention to the screen up there. We'll bring a presentation for you. I know you also have it in your packet. As we do on an annual basis, update you on our scores, reminding that these tests were taken last spring. So when you see the grade level, the students in that grade level are now 1 year ahead. So for example, our 4th graders are now our 5th graders, our 8th graders are now our freshmen in high school. So I always I love to start with this quote. I love what Troy said here, because one giant test to end all tests is not always the best way to assess student mastery. This test does not measure all the work we do in social emotional learning, does not measure all the work we do in project-based learning, our profile of a graduate, all the work we do with technology, engineering, mathematics, all the clubs, sports, and things we offer our students. So it's always a perspective that our schools shouldn't always be judged just on a test. I know it's what makes the newspapers and a lot of people have conversations about, but there's so much other great things going on. But tonight the results are very positive. I'm pleased to share them with you. Starting with our elementary schools, RICAS is given in grades 3 and 4 for both ELA and mathematics. And so the first thing we do is we look at our 3 schools compared to the state average. And so you can see there, Fort Barton in blue, Pecasset in yellow, Ranger in green. This is grade 3 and 4 for ELA, and you can see all three of our scores clearly outperform the state average, which we expect to have happen. And this same corresponding chart is for mathematics, grade 3 and grade 4, and you can see again, all 3 of our elementary schools well surpass state average. Now we take a longitudinal look at our schools. One of the reasons we do this is we make annual adjustments to our curriculum and to our teaching, and we expect that those adjustments will yield some changes in the tests. So when you look here at Fort Barton and their scores for ELA and math, and you're looking at the teal bar, which is the score for 24, you're going to see that those scores are exceptionally well. You can see that there's growth from the last 3 years in ELA, and you can see that in math, Fort Barton hit their all-time high. And so anytime you see a circle, that's the all-time high, which we've been hitting over the course of the last several years. Here, we move into,
Can I just, Madam Chair, since we're here,
Certainly.
or do you want to wait until the end?
No, I think if it's okay with you,
Sure,
Dr. Sanchioni.
whatever.
Remind us again, when was COVID? Because I think that helps to,
so there was no test in 2020, and then we came back in 2021.
okay. And then, so, because we see that dip, and now we see it going back up.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you for asking. Yep. Okay, so moving on again, Fort Barton, now we're looking at grade 4 here for ELA and math, and again, you're going to see that growth moving out with that teal bar, and you're going to see the all-time high in math, grade 4 with Fort Barton. Pecasset, again, steady growth here in ELA, and an all-time, actually, grade 3 had a great year last year. They hit the all-time high in math and in ELA. It's the type of growth we want to see. Again, we do a lot of work analyzing the test, data analysis, working with students, and that shows that hard work paying off. And when we go to grade 4, again, we see some consistent growth there in ELA, and again, we see an all-time high in mathematics. At Ranger School, we're seeing consistent performance in grade 3 in ELA, and we see an all-time high for math. And in grade 4, we saw a dip in ELA, and a lot of work is being done over at that school. We have great leadership at the principal there. We have 2 outstanding grade 4 teachers. I'm not really concerned about this. I know that the work that they're putting in this year is going to yield some strong results coming in previous. And in math there, again, the math scores are solid. One of the other comparisons you'll see besides this longitudinal is later on I'll show you how we compare to other East Bay communities. So when it may look like we're depressed a little bit here, but when we compare to other communities, we actually show that we're doing, doing very well to right on target. Okay, at the middle school, we administer the tests in grades 5, 6, 7, and 8, and again, it's for ELA and math. So we start out looking at ELA. Blue is Tiverton, red is the state average. And again, we always should expect to be above the state average. And the same thing for mathematics. Okay, moving into grade. Just get my sheet here. Second. Grade 5, yeah. Into grade 5, ELA and mathematics there. And again, the orientation of the charts switch here. So they did this to confuse me, but I caught them. So now it's going from right to left, where the other ones were going right from left to right. So again, the blue is the most recent test. So you're going to see the all-time high in math was achieved last year, and you're going to see consistent performance in ELA in grade 5. Grade 6, again, we're seeing consistent performance in both math and ELA. Grade 7, it's like what we like to see here. We see an all-time high in ELA, and we see strong performances in math. And then in grade 8, again, I would say that's strong performance in ELA. Dipped a little in math, but again, when you look at the longitudinal look, we're still hanging in there, we're still performing well. Okay, we also administer the science test, and this is given in grades 5 and 8. So here what I'm showing you is grade 5 is blue, grade 8 is red, and I'm showing you a longitudinal look at how the scores are. You're going to see an all-time high for grade 5 in science last year, and you're seeing consistent performance in grade 8. All right, so let's take a look.
Before you go any further, I would like to ask if any of the committee members have any questions up to this point.
I have a question, but it's what's coming up next.
Sure. Oh,
Just to
no,
let you know.
okay, we'll hold off on that.
I do have a, and I guess, are you, and are you going to talk about the things that you're going to do
Yes.
to address? Okay.
Yeah.
So then I'll wait. There's a lot of stuff in the packet. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so one of the things we also do is do a comparison to the East Bay Community Schools. And the reason we do this is that RICAS score switches every year. They adjust the questions. They sometimes change the rigor of the test itself. And so when we see that we may have a dip, let's say, for example, in 7th grade math, and it may actually not be a dip in student performance, it may just be as a result of the change in the test itself. So that way, when we compare to East Bay, we can see, well, wait a minute, our scores dip, but actually, our students are performing as well or better than other students who took the exact same test. So it's important to also compare ourselves to other communities, because the test does change on an annual basis. So, starting with grade 3 ELA, you're going to just see outstanding, strong performance here from the Tiverton Public Schools. So our 3 elementary schools are in yellow. Our 3 school average is in that maroon. And then you're seeing us compare to Newport, Middletown, East Providence, Bristol Warren, Portsmouth, and Barrington. So, I mean, we're on the far right there. Our students are performing exceptionally well in grade 3 ELA. Same thing with grade 3 math. Again, our 3 elementary schools and our district average outperforms the entire East Bay. You move to grade 4 ELA, and again, you're seeing our overall average is very strong. And we talked a little bit about Ranger. I'm not overly concerned there because of the great leadership and teachers that we have there, but our schools perform well. And then in grade 4 mathematics, again, we're seeing that the overall district average is very strong compared to other districts. Grade 5 ELA, so this is a perfect example. I mean, you look at that and you say, wow, that, maybe Tiverton didn't perform so well there, but wait a minute, that test was adjusted from year to year, and actually our kids, pretty much outperformed the entire East Bay. And in math, I would consider that another strong showing. In grade 6 ELA, grade 6 math, off a little bit, but the average there is close. Grade 7 ELA is strong comparatively. Grade 7 math is strong. Grade 8 drops a little bit in ELA, and grade 8 drops a little bit in math. And the other thing is, we show you a lot of different variations of this test. We show the comparison here, but if you go back and look at the longitudinal study too, that's another way to look at how well our students are performing year after year after year. So looking at that science test compared to the East Bay, and again, you're going to see grade 5 and 8. Those are the 2 grades that take that test, and I think our performance there is on target, as strong as other East Bay communities. So you had mentioned, what is the action plan? So a lot of time is spent
Before we go
then-
any further, could we ask for, if there are any questions from the committee?
I don't have a question, but I'd like to make a comment.
Your microphone?
Oh, sorry. I'm so loud. As I went through the packet of the test scores, page after page at the elementary level, I noticed how much Pecasset School has had growth over these years. A lot of times, I've had people tell me, I prefer to go to one school over another school because they do so much better, but when I went through the packet, it amazed me how much growth there's been at Pecasset School in the last few years. And I wanted to say that so that people take a look at this, watch what's happening, because people are working very hard to improve in areas that need to be improved in, and I just wanted to say that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Dr. Sanchioni?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So a lot of work goes into analyzing this data, and then we come up with action plans, and momentarily in your packet, you have several pages of what the middle school came up with. I couldn't put it into the PowerPoint, it was just too much verbiage there, but I will ask Principal Zatoli to come up momentarily and talk a little bit about that. But I think there's two things to know about this. For students who are moving through the grades, so for example, a fifth grader who took the test last year, they're looking at those fifth grade results, and then they're targeting students who are now in the sixth grade to fill in those gaps and those things that need to be done at a higher level for the student. But then there's also a macro analysis of the results, looking at each question and seeing how well our students performed on that question, taking whatever that question was asking the students to do, whether it was writing or analyzing data or so forth, and looking back into the curriculum. When was that taught? When was that reinforced? When was that going to be returned to? And do we need to change our curriculum a little bit, which is why we always look for growth longitudinally. So that work took place over the last several months. A lot of people are given a lot of credit for that. So let me call up Principal Zatoli, tell you a little bit about the work that was done at the middle school.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the new members. First of all, I need to thank Kristen Destrems and Shelley Noguera and Maria Clary. We don't have the time in our schedule to meet with our colleagues like we used to, so they really hustled and to pull these packets and these action plans together. They're true veterans for sure, but I didn't know if you had any questions. You know, the analyzing of data is not really an exact science to it. This year they did not release the items, so they were looking at areas that we were weak on or areas that we showed a lot of strength, and sort of the theme around that question. They didn't actually get to see the exact question, but they've done it enough to kind of know what to do with it. And that action plan ranges anywhere from, if it's mathematics or science. Science is, the NGSA is tricky because it spans 4 years. They don't take it in 6th, 7th, so they'll look at and say, geez, our fifth graders, they might have missed this part of science, so they'll add it to a do now or something like that. Same with mathematics, right? For as long as I've been teaching, and I know Kristen will agree, we teach fractions around 5th grade, they take it in 8th, and it's like they never had it. So we constantly do it in our do-nows and our warm-ups and things like that, so that they don't forget. And obviously, writing's an area that's probably the most important thing we can ask our kids to do, so we do writing across the curriculum, so that it's not, that burden is not just left on the ELA teacher, but we want our children writing in health, in PE, in foreign language, everywhere they go, whether it's a quick write or an essay, that we start to teach them the actual grit of writing, sitting down and thinking, and also being able to do it on the computer is another skill that looks easy, but when you're 5th, 6th grade, 11 years old, it can be tricky. So we practice those skills as well.
Thank you. I guess one question I have, what concerns me here, it's difficult looking at data that ranges. I'm just looking at my screen right now. I'm looking at grade 6 math as an example. You know, in the East Bay, we have a range of 14% proficiency in Newport to 55% in Barrington. And as to why those are the actual percentages, it really is irrelevant. It's a measure, but I'm seeing that you see a small difference in the districts at those lower grades, but in 8th grade, there's a more significant dip. Is there any concern about curriculum or time spent in the classroom or anything that as a school committee we can do to help improve, particularly, I'm looking at these 8th grade results?
No, I think our curriculum and our instruction is really solid, grades 5 through 8. I think sometimes, one of the things, and I've discussed this at length with Mrs. Kraeger and Dr. Sanchioni, it's, the 7th and 8th grader is a sort of a different breed, and when we ask them to really, put pen to paper, to really work hard on those, they're not always that thrilled about it, so we're kind of dancing a fine line. It's really, the middle school is a different animal. I think 5, 6 is a lot different than 7th and 8th, so we're working a lot of social emotional skills with kids, and then to say sit down and really grind out that ELA test. We don't always get a maximum effort from some of our kids that when I look at their scores at the end of the day, I know they could have done better, had a lot of things going on in their home life, and I think that's part of it. I also think Kristen's here, she could probably speak more to it, but once they get into that 6th, 7th, and 8th grade range, if they've missed some skills moving forward, math gets extremely difficult to perform at that level. I don't know, Kristen, if you want to add to that?
And at the middle school, we have about 54 minutes a day to teach math or ELA, where at the elementary, they have much longer time to spend on math or on ELA because they have the kids all day long. So our kids come in, they leave, that's a factor. If you look at the 8th grade math scores, those scores were lower last year also. So sometimes it's the cohort of kids. There's a lot of factors, and we haven't seen the released questions yet. So for us to know, was the question worded differently than how we taught it, we have to really study that this year. Until we get that information, we don't know.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my question, because to Dr. Sanchioni's point, we do see these generally trending up. So I could see, it would be very interesting to see what the tested. Exactly, because, it could be that, it's an off year because, and we never want to teach to the test. So it could be an off year because they just really focused on something that, not that we don't want our kids to know, but that just wasn't just laser focused for us. So that's why I said I always look at the trends to make sure that we're trending up, and we are. But I'll be very interested to see what you guys think when you dig into those questions.
Some teachers, it was their first year teaching the math curriculum or the ELA curriculum, so that was new to them also. So, somebody like me who's been teaching 6th grade math for 20 some odd years, it's a little different than somebody coming in for the first time.
Good. Anyone else?
Yeah, just a question. So RICAS is administered every spring, and then we get results summer,
October.
fall?
October.
October, and then the details that are yet to be released, when do we get that?
So, well, typically, we would have had them by now. For some reason, our RIDE is not, they've shown us the question that, and how well our students performed on it. They're just not showing us the question as they did in the past. And there may be some reluctance to actually release those items this year.
So when you get those details, do you revise the action plan now that you have more specific information?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
So at the elementary level, our 3 principals work together with their staffs to come up with an action plan for ELA and mathematics. Again, I'm not going to read all this to you, but I would suggest to you the same thing applies. There are students who are identified who went from 3rd to 4th grade that are now in 4th grade who are getting additional assistance based on how they performed. And then there's an analysis of the 3rd and 4th grade curriculum. And again, trying to figure out where we can support our students at higher levels. I would say 2 of the things that came up was we need our students to read online at a higher level to develop that stamina. And we need them to write online at a higher level to develop that stamina, and that's being applied in all 3 of our elementary schools this year. And then on the mathematics side, I don't know if you can read this, I know you have it in your packet, but there's some identification of some skills that are going to apply a little more depth and breadth to the curriculum. The Eureka Math curriculum is strong. You saw the results as we compared to East Bay, and overall, our students do really well in math in the 3rd and 4th grade. And I do see Principal Donnelly Roach here. I don't know if you want to add anything. I know you work with the other two principals on this. You're welcome if you'd like to say anything. Not putting you on the spot, though.
No, and I won't say much. I think our plan is pretty good. We definitely, just so you know, we do look at the results and the details and the trends with the whole faculty at each school, because certainly the results and the growth are a result of everyone's input, not just the year in which they're tested. And then we talk about ways to incorporate the areas we've targeted. Like you can see in grade 3, division is something we're targeting this year across the 3 schools. Similarly, there are targets in ELA, so we talk about ways to do that curriculum-wide and school-wide. So that might happen in art and music class, it might happen at a special school-wide activity. I know at our school and at Fort Barton, there's some school-wide narrative writing going on, which is something we need to do. I don't believe Ranger actually needed to do that. So there are school-wide, district-wide action plans, and then the specificity, of course, drills down. So at each school it is a little bit different based on the cohort of students and the specific test results. But our curriculums are really well aligned to the standards, and that's what we teach to, and hopefully that results in higher test scores. We don't teach to the test. The only other thing I would add is that RICAS is now primarily scored via AI, and this year is the year that's happening more and more. So even our writing assessments are scored using artificial intelligence with only a 10% human read behind going forward. And so that will change how ELA in particular scores develop. And I wonder if that isn't why there's a little reluctance to release some of the questions and why there has been a dip in some things statewide. Just food for thought.
Thanks,
It's a
Amy.
fair assessment. Thank you. Thank you.
So I always share this with our staff that, I'll close this the way I started it, that one test does not measure the greatness of a school. There's so many other things that take place there and the benefit of our students, and we never want to lose our hope and optimism as a result of this. We do take it serious. We do spend a lot of time with the analysis and the adjustments that we make as a result of this. And as you've seen, every school, all 4 schools who took RICAS this year, at some grade, at some level, hit an all-time high. And that's the progress we want to see.
Okay, anything from anyone else? All right,
I have a question for Sarah.
sure.
Ride with the ALT assessment and the RICAS, is that starting next year, where some of those students are going to take the RICAS and not the alternate assessment?
So there's a new criteria for the alternate assessment. Is that what you're speaking about?
Yes.
Yes, so that goes into effect for this coming school year.
So that has not shown up on
There are some students who were
these.
previously, I think this is what you're referring to. There are some students who were previously eligible for alternate assessment, and due to some of the changes in that, they are no longer eligible and will be taking the RICAS assessment
Okay,
Yes.
I was just wondering if they were included in these scores.
next year.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. We will move on to the next item under new business, accept an ACT grant. Dr. Sanchioni.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In your packet, you have a letter from the ACT Foundation awarding us $3,500 for new uniforms for our middle school girls and boys basketball program. Again, ACT has always been generous to us in meeting our needs. I ask you to accept this grant with gratitude.
Do I have a motion to accept this $3,500 grant?
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I do have a question. I thought I read in here that this was for girls, boys only. Yeah, on the letter, at Tiverton Middle School basketball boys, it specifies. Is that true?
So when you write a grant for ACT, they make you specify it to a specific team because they only award a grant to a team. But in the grant, if I was to share with you the grant, I wrote it for both teams. So they only recognized the grant for a team, but the verbiage was for both teams.
So there's no restriction as far as how we spend it?
Well, the restriction is it's for basketball uniforms for boys and girls teams at the middle school.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, all those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Item C, capital update of current projects and request to use funds. And I think, Dr. Sanchioni, you gave us
I gave you an
update.
updated document today. It's, in essence, the same theory and ideas behind it. We just had some new numbers come in over the last 2 weeks that I wanted to make this as accurate as possible. So looking at the document, you may recall the town council graciously allocated $525,000 to replace interior locks. We went out to bid on that, and we're able to come back with a bid much lower of $195,000. You can see the schedule when that work will start to take place with the high school beginning in December, middle school February, and the elementary schools over the April vacations. As a result of the savings there, we do have 3 key projects, and I'm going to ask for your consideration this evening to use that, the delta between the savings there. And one is the chimney here at the high school. You may recall I showed this to you a couple of years ago when we first got an engineer's report. Well, the conditions of that chimney have deteriorated. And I wouldn't say it's going to fall down anytime soon, but it's at the point where I don't want to be waiting around until it gets to a worsening condition. So we went out, we got a new price. That price is exact now, and so we want to take the chimney down here at high school before it gets any worse. When we replaced the exterior doors at some of our schools on a previous award, we took care of the doors that were not latching, that had problems, broken locks and things like that. We'd like to replace 12 additional doors. These aren't in the same deterioration that the previous ones were, but they are on that path. So rather than wait to the point where they don't lock, we'd like to take care of these 12 doors right now. And then lastly, as you've experienced, we do not really have a sound system in the auditorium. And, you know, when we jury rig speakers in there and mics and all that, it just doesn't always work. And I don't think that's in the best interest of our drama department, our chorus, our band, and all the other members of the community who use that auditorium. So we'd like to upgrade that, and we got an actual cost there that we're sharing with you this evening. So how it works is we were allocated $525,000 for the locks. The savings on that were $330,000. I'm requesting 3 new projects this evening that total $248,152, and we would return $81,848 to the town. The next step, and what we're asking for you this evening, is allowing us to go to the town council to share the same information with them as we did with you this evening, and for their permission to fund these 3 additional projects.
I'll make a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation for discussion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion?
So I think the obvious question for me is, how can it be so off? 525 versus,
Yeah, so I explained this, I think, one time to town council. So the number comes off our 5-year capital plan. And so you're asking our architect to predict the cost of an item that could be spent at any time over 5 years. So, because you never know what year in the 5 that we might get funding for it. So if the locks are funded in 2020 or they funded in 2025, they've got to figure out a price to put on that plan that RIDE will accept. So they always overestimate. And that way, when RIDE has the number, RIDE's setting aside money when we go to reimbursement. So typically, our projects come in less as a result of that.
thank you.
I know this chimney removal has come up in the past. What was the previous estimate on that?
50.
I thought it was a bit less.
Yep.
But this has gone out, and you have gotten an updated quote.
Yes.
And that is true for all 3 of these requests?
Yeah, the change in the document you had in your packet and tonight's is the chimney, which is an actual number now, and the sound system. The doors we always had an accurate number on the doors.
Okay. I know I've mentioned this to you privately in the past, but I would like to mention it publicly now as well. I would like us to be looking into an additional capital request for an updated and upgraded accounting system for our school district.
So we have an FY26 capital list that Brendon and I are working on. We're going to present to you at some point.
Well, the concern I have is an FY26 list won't even be considered by the town council till next fall.
We were kind of hoping they would maybe talk with us in
I wouldn't count on hoping anything. Is there any way we could, I mean, I'm looking at the leftover here, you've got $80,000 to play with here. I have no idea what either the appetite is for doing it, and it's certainly not an agenda item this evening, or a bid, but I'm wondering if perhaps we could, given the fact that, we're just about to enter into the holiday season, I'm wondering if we could consider tabling this today to go back and take a look at how much that would cost, if that would be something we could cover under the same request. I don't know, Dr. Sanchioni, what do you think?
Well, we were hoping to get on that December 9th agenda at the town council.
You won't.
To get these three things considered.
You won't.
Well, I don't know, we had a level of confidence that we could.
Is
That would be my
it
only consider.
possible to just perhaps change the motion to approve the 1, 2, and 3 and not recommend returning yet until we have?
Sure. We could say that we're
And
also
certainly you could let them know that.
considering a financial system.
There is a consideration that was brought up by the chair about perhaps going, for those who aren't aware, the current system that we have, and Brendon can talk to it, we can put it on an agenda, is horrendous. It's very hard to get any kind of good data. So maybe we could do that, is we could, I can amend my motion to approve the recommendation of 1, 2, and 3 with maintaining, without returning the 81,848 at this point in time.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, is that a motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so the motion is to approve Dr. Sanchioni's request for $65,000 for the chimney removal, $136,152 for the exterior doors at various buildings, and this $47,000 for the sound system at THS to come from the FY 20, it's 24, I think, allocation. Is it the
It
current
happened
one?
on September 30th, so,
Right at the
of
top.
2024.
Whatever.
Actually, I think it was an earlier amount, though, that they referred to.
24,
I think it's
Yeah.
24 that they're still working on. Yeah, they make sure they've collected it all before they consider dispersing. So I think it's FY '24. And we had a second?
Yes.
All those in favor? Okay, it's approved. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, next up, we have a gas and electric rate proposal. Mr. Andrade.
Good evening.
Your microphone, sir.
Good evening. This memo requests approval from the school committee for some proposals of electric and gas supply rates. As some of you know, we do take advantage of solar net credits, so this is a supply rate of the way electric and gas come in to us through the supply. Our net credits only cover a certain percentage because we're such a large district with all our facilities. Currently, our current contract is actually set to expire November 2025, so I took it upon myself to reach out to NRG, our supplier that we currently use, and I was trying to propose termination of the current contract with no effect on anything, and allow us to get secure a better rate much sooner, such as July 2025, which is the FY '26 commencement. So I've attached the supporting analyst for your review. After careful consideration of each rate structure, as you'll see on the screen and in your packet, I'm proposing the 24-month option for the electric, which is a savings of approximately $65,000 a year, so that's over 2 years. And for gas, I'm only proposing 12 months, and the reason is if anyone pays attention to the NYMEX, natural gas is spiking due to increase in LNG exports, which are nearing capacity. So I would like to use the advantage now of the almost $1,200 worth of savings for 1 year, and then revisit once those strategists have some better once the situation's kind of settled down a bit, hopefully. So in that case, I kindly ask for your approval for the 24-month electric rate and the 12-month term for the natural gas.
I'll make a motion to accept Director Andrade's recommendations for 24 months for electric and 12 months for gas.
I'll second that motion.
Do we have any discussion? I have a question. Well, first of all, it's actually not a question. I just want to commend you for for taking the incentive in going out there before the contract expired, understanding that there was savings to be had. We need as much of this as we can get, Mr.
Absolutely.
Andrade, so thank you very much for taking that initiative. Anyone else? Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you very much. All right, next up, we have an update on the FY25 budget. Again, Mr. Andrade.
All right. Give him a second to pull it up here. All right, so this evening I provided a memo in your packet along with a quick slideshow, which we'll go through, and I've also done some graphs for the new members as well to understand our operating budget in a whole. But this is going to be the same summary I will provide to the town council as well, which is our year-to-date November 2024 budget versus actual variance. Obviously, I did provide a Q1, July through September, but I didn't provide in October due to the fact of the change of hands with town council and school committee, why the vote was being certified on both levels. So currently, we've spent year-to-date November 2024, we spent $6.5 million with the traditional costs, personal costs, special education, out of district as the primary categories. Expenses remain on track with the approved budget. We are carefully monitoring a few special education accounts and statewide transportation, but as of now, there's no concern. We're able to cover some of these identified variances right now within our budget. So going through the first page, and I'll just highlight, if you look at the far right column, you can see I used a pinkish color, and what that is as the darker it gets, the closer it is to fully spending the approved allocation. The lighter pink is just kind of starting off the expense. So on the first page, you see salaries and benefits. Everything here is just normal cadence. So going to the next tab, this is our purchase professional tech services, which is mostly special ed accounts. So you can see normal cadence is there's a couple areas that are tracking over budget that we're continuing to look at, as I just mentioned, which is tutoring services and personal care as of right now, and a little bit of occupational therapists. It's still early in the year for that as well. That's about it on that page. Going now to purchase property service and other purchase services, all normal cadence, nothing concerning here. We obviously paid our property and liability insurance in full, along with our student accident insurance. That's why those are 100%. And last but not least is the remaining supplies, property, and other, which there's not many normal concerns here other than custodial supplies, which has to do with our normal in-house repair supplies that were basically purchased before the year started. This could be caulk, this could be paint, those type of needs that are needed to get the schools looking good for the start of school year. So most of our janitor supplies have already been purchased, so we should be okay there for the remainder of the year. Now get into our budget. I split it up a little differently than UCOA and RIDE, because I think this gives a little better understanding, but obviously the biggest piece of the pie is the personnel service, which is 72.6%. And then you have a special ed services and out-of-district tuition, which is 12%. And then going from left to right on that side, facing you, technology and textbooks a little over 2%, transportation a little over 8%, utilities over 2%, insurance, maintenance, and repairs, almost 1%. Other is almost 1%. And then outside services and critical operating supplies is a little over 1%. I'll touch base on that one, which it might be confusing. So operating services is our legal fees that we pay. Also, it could be graduation supplies, athletic supplies, medical supplies. So I consider those all critical operating supplies for the district. So with that said, if you were to add up personnel services, sped services in our district, tuition, transportation, utilities, and even insurance, maintenance, and repairs, you're looking at almost 97%. So that's really the bulk of the budget. And then the next slide just kind of gives a same idea, just with our year-to-date spending through November. You know, this is on the 6.5 million, so you got 57.1 personnel service, 19% for sped and out-of-district costs, 4% for insurance, maintenance, and repairs, almost 6% for transportation, almost 6% for technology and textbooks, 2% for utilities, other is 3%, and then outside services and critical operating supplies is 3%. I will add technology and textbook. This is mostly the cost that was graciously given by the town council for technology and textbooks. Obviously, we spend that and then we get reimbursed later. So that's still within our, obviously, our operating budget. And most of those costs obviously occur before school starts, especially for curriculum, textbooks, and technology. So any questions at that point?
I'll open the floor to any questions from the committee. Ms. Paquette? Ms. Polish?
So, Brendon, I'll start with a comment, and then I have a question. This is fantastic. I love the summary memo. I love the use of the different colors of pinks to show when we're getting close, and I love the pie chart. So let me just commend you on presenting this in so many different ways, because people interpret numbers so many different ways, so kudos to you. Can I just ask on the year-to-date, so you're saying through November, I just want to make sure I'm interpreting it correctly. You're saying personnel services is only 57.18 through November, but we budgeted 72.6.
So that's 57 on the 6.5 that's been spent to date.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's only on the 6.5, what's been spent to date, yes.
Okay,
So overall, 18.2%'s been spent, or 6.5.
gotcha,
Yeah.
okay. Perfect, thank you.
I do want to call everyone's attention to the column next to the adopted FY25 budget on the line items. Mr. Andrade has inserted a new column, proposed budget transfer. This is something that we have in our current policies, that we actually transfer funds around as there is the need to adjust as we go through the year. We have not traditionally taken a vote to approve these transfers. And we're going to have to figure out a way, Brendon, to, if you're bringing new transfers in, how we're going to manage that, if we're going to put in some kind of a procedure or vote. All in all, what you have here is a net of, in net transfers of $1,600, if I'm reading it correctly.
Correct.
A lot of ins and outs. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask the Finance Subcommittee to maybe work with you on ways we can bring this to our meetings for a vote in the future as you look to make adjustments to categories and or line items. And in alliance with the policies that exist today. We may very well be looking to update those policies for the future, but as they exist today, you know, how can we make it so that we actually take action here?
Yeah, because I want to say, Madam Chair, that when they're within the categories, we don't, policy at least currently says we don't approve them, it's only between. So it's kind of hard to know, yeah, so like if I see a number like 15, 7, 18, I don't know where it's going. I just know it's being, so I don't know if it's going in the same category, I don't know. So if you want to think about that, maybe in conjunction with reading the policy to see if there's a way we can comply with that.
Yep,
and give us a little bit. And then, obviously, once we approve it, then we're going to have a way of, okay,
Tracking.
this was already approved and these are the new. But I know policy at least has been movement within the categories. It's pretty high. But just looking at, I don't know where it's going, so I
Yeah.
don't know if you want to, but yeah, we'll work with you. Color coding. Yeah, color coding or something that we can.
Yeah, I have a file that goes every month, so
Yeah.
it's, you know, I can put together a summary.
Yeah, because to your point, it'd be great to be able to, you know, comply with policy because we've just never had it in a way that it was very difficult to know what was being transferred in between. Yeah. Great. Well, Kim and I will work with you on that.
Thank you. Mrs. Pavo, anything?
Nothing.
And Ms. Sherman? Thank you, Mr. Andrade.
Thank you.
Okay, last on our new business, 2025 School Committee Calendar. Dr. Sanchioni.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In your packet, you have a calendar of school committee meetings for the year 2025, following the same format of the second and fourth Tuesday of each month.
Do I have a motion to approve the 2025 School Committee Calendar?
I'm going to approve just for discussion only because I do want to give the new members an opportunity to, maybe we don't want the Tuesdays. So I'll make a motion just so that we can discuss whether we want to move the dates.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, let's open it up for discussion then. First of all, to Mrs. Polish's point, we have, as long as I can remember, always met on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month, unless otherwise noted, of course. We have some months in the summer where we only meet once. We also have traditionally only met once in December, although I see two of them on here. I don't know why. So I guess the first question is everyone still comfortable with the, in general, second and fourth Tuesday? Okay.
Yes.
I do have some specific questions. Starting with the, I have no questions, well, I do have, school vacation in February, Dr. Sanchioni, we're not running into a conflict there?
No. No, it's the week in between the 11th.
It is the week in
Yeah.
between? Okay. In March, we have currently scheduled, which would be the typical second and fourth, the 11th and the 25th. However, the budget is due to the town on March 19th. And selfishly, I am going to be out of town March 11th. Not that that should keep us from holding a meeting, but I also know, Mrs. Polish, you're also knee-deep in taxes that week. I'm wondering if I could get us to perhaps change that for March, instead of the 11th and the 25th, to go for March 4th and 18th instead, which would give us the ability to have a robust discussion on the 4th regarding the budget, and then finalize it with a vote on the 18th. Would that be?
I have no objections to that, but I'm thinking, and certainly we'll have to see as we go along, that we're going to need more than just a couple meetings a month to address the
We
budget.
may very well need to schedule additional workshops, yes.
Yeah.
So what are we changing?
So this would be, instead of March 11th and 25th, my proposal would be March 4th and 18th for our regular meetings. That doesn't mean we won't have additional workshops scheduled, but we would not meet on the 11th or the 25th. Everyone okay?
So far in advance, yeah.
It is far in advance, but
Yeah.
I'd like
Yeah, no,
to
that's good.
try
Yep.
to anticipate things. April, same question as I had for February. We have April 8th and 22nd. There's no conflict with April vacation there?
In between.
Okay. May, we have Tuesday, the 13th, and Tuesday, the 27th. And this happens, I think, a couple times. Well, it's happened in the past. Yes, it's going to happen again in October. Typically, when there's a Monday holiday, the town council moves themselves over to the Tuesday, and we overlap. I'm wondering if this would be a good time to move ourselves over to Wednesday, so that we can continue to have our video production and not conflict
What's the
with the town
holiday?
council. So in the case of May, it's Memorial Day on the 27th.
On the 26th.
Well, the 26th is the holiday, so instead of the 27th, if we could move to the 28th on a Wednesday, is that acceptable? Okay. And then that would apply also to October 14th, Columbus Day. Columbus Day is the 13th. Instead of meeting on the 14th, we would meet on the 15th. Sound okay? All right. June and July, we typically only meet once in those months. I don't know, Dr. Sanchioni or committee, if we should consider going more toward the middle of the month instead of the second week of the month. For example, June, instead of the 10th, we would do the 17th, or July, instead of the 8th, the 15th. And that would be, in July in particular, I worry about people being away on vacation.
I think we should leave them alone.
Think you should leave them
We're
alone?
making too many changes.
We're not going to approve it tonight unless we're,
Yeah, but we move this and when we do this and.
I know, I just wanted to throw it out there.
Wednesday, we're gonna Tuesday.
If you guys want to keep it, that's fine.
I think
Yeah, we've always been good about moving it when we
we've
need
moved a
to
lot.
anyway.
If we have to.
We've moved a
Yeah.
lot of dates this year.
Yeah, yeah.
I've tried,
And it's
The goal-
difficult, I know, because of the Monday holidays.
I understand. The goal
You
that
know,
I'm
the
trying to,
Council moves to a Tuesday, which means we bump into that Tuesday.
yeah, the goal I'm trying to achieve here is to set up a schedule that we can actually live with
Right, because you don't know.
without changing
This is
everything.
only December and we're looking.
Well, I was just
you
going
know,
to say, it's so far in advance, who knows?
So, all right, I'm fine with that. November, there's only one meeting noted here. I don't know why. Was there a special reason for that? I know,
it's Veterans.
I think the 11th is Veterans Day. Would that be
Exactly.
the Tuesday?
Yep.
Yep.
So would we want to perhaps meet on either the Monday or the Wednesday of that week? Actually, no, it would be the Wednesday,
The 12th.
the 12th. We do typically have the two in November. We'll put it out there for now.
Yeah, I think you should add it.
Okay.
And then in December, let's, again, stick with our practice of one meeting in December. I know we're going to make an exception this year, but typically we would go with one meeting.
So
the 9th.
Earlier is better. I
Earlier is
think.
better, yeah, no, not the
Closer you get to
23rd.
the holidays,
Take out the 23rd.
take out the 23rd.
Yeah, take out the 23rd.
And then we'll get a new calendar, we'll revise.
Yeah, if I could ask, we're going to be meeting.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're going to be meeting again next week, so I'm going to ask that we table the approval of the schedule tonight and have the changes brought in and back with us next week, if that's okay? Okay. Did you want to withdraw your motion, Mrs. Polish?
I will withdraw the motion.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Announcements in future meetings. Again, we are meeting a week from tomorrow, week from Wednesday, December 11th. At that meeting, our attorney, Mr. Scungio, will be with us, and among a couple other small business items, we will be going through what is typically our new school committee refresher course. For those of you who are new, it will be new, and for those of us who are not new, it will be a reminder of things such as open meetings, et cetera. Mr. Scungio is working on a presentation for us for that evening, and we'll have plenty of opportunities to ask him questions. We will also be looking to begin our discussions with Mr. Scungio on our upcoming superintendent search. So things are going to be kicking off mainly in January, but we will endeavor to get a couple things done in December as well. So that brings us to the end of the open session agenda. I'm now going to ask for a motion to move into executive session under Rhode Island General Law 4246 5A4, legal advice, contract negotiations for NEA and Council 94. Do I have that motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
For those of you who are new on the committee, the way to vote in the affirmative to move into executive session is to say yes. So, Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
I'm a yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We are in executive session. Thank you.